Hey, everybody, what's happening? I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Let's see what we got. Just Joan, how are you? Brazy Girl, good to see you. Linsanity, how are you? Piano Mom, good to see you. Stormy, well, stormy in that side of the country, is it? Thank you, Tommy and crew, for all of you, your support and cheerleading. I love you all. You know what, Lisa? We love you too. We really do. Piano Mom, you are in my thoughts and prayers every day. I live for now. Glad you're here. Hey, Kiwi Nam. Jersey Jan. Jean. Flick Fox, how are you? Sarah Bowman, good to see you. Cindy Plumley. Liz Tricks, what's happening? Hey, Darcy. Layla, DP in Tennessee. Regina Patnode. Mittens, 1970. I'm glad to see you. Oh, Brazy. Scooby. Scoob, good to see you. Glad you're here. There's Don Gloves. Tommy Knocker et. Ree, good to see you. Kristen Melinda, wouldn't be a show without you. Really wouldn't. Sorry, people. A little something in the throat. It's been one of those days. Ever one of those days where no matter how much you drink, you can't seem to get that thing out of the back of your throat? It has been one of those days. Janet, good to see you. Hey, Casey. Betty Zoom. Sandy Wendy, glad you're here. All right. So, you know what? I got to do one of these shows about every couple of months, every 4 months or so, every 5 months. Because the way YouTube works, a bunch of people will come by for one reason or another, and they check you out, and some stick around, some don't. Kind of a high turnover. A very small group has kind of been here from the very beginning. But there's a crap load of videos. If you were to go back to the beginning, there's a couple of thousand of them, and they're about an hour long each, right? So there's a whole lot of content. But for that reason, there's a lot of people that don't have a clue who I am. Honestly, and unfortunately, sometimes you might catch snippets of things that I say, or catch part of a video or part of a podcast where it may, I would like people to get a better understanding of who I am. Hey, Dee Dee Razzle Dazzle. Who I am and what I believe in. I think most of you have a pretty good handle on it. But there are some things. Hey, Tommy Bird. Yes, Tommy Bird has been here since the beginning. Izzy, good to see you. Tommy Bird, you really have been here since the beginning. I mean, you were here, before it was the boat anyway. Just Pauline, how are you? Glad that you're here. Other side of the world, you know. It only took me 7 months to figure that out, but, it is what it is. Sherry, how are you? Lumen, what's happening? Good to see you. Andrea Malloy, good to see you. So let's do a little brief history of Tommy Scoville, shall we? Well, Tommy Scoville was born in 1970 in the Northeast, right? In New England, where I grew up, spent a crap load of time skiing. Very, very into it. It shaped my life. I ended up chasing really good snow all over the earth. And I mean the kind that actually comes out of the sky. Eventually, I'd start chasing the other stuff too. Injuries led me to pain medication. I'm shortening the hell out of this because my early development, my early years, I played football. I was in the choir, right? I was like I did a lot of musicals and plays. I was a pretty boring high school kid. I really was. But I was smoking pot. We started smoking pot really young in that part of the country. It started when I was about 13. Aaron Z, good to see you. And I kind of ran with a fast crowd even in that town. Piano Mom would know. She probably drove by a million times while I was sitting on the green, which is where the bad kids used to go and hang out, were the kids that were doing bad things. No such thing as bad kids, right? Yeah, well, I was a bad kid. Spike Z, good to see you. But that's where I would go and spend my time. I started partying when I went off to college. I started partying on harder stuff. I injured myself. I ended up moving to Texas, got into some trouble down there. Drugs were a lot cheaper. Um, but I went hard. I really did. I ended up going really, really hard. Uh, and then one day I realized that um, that heroin could do what pain meds did, and I didn't need a doctor, and I didn't need a pharmacist, and I didn't need to steal a prescription pad, and I didn't need to do all of those things that I had been doing for so damn long just to be able to feel normal. Because I had been on Lost Mittens, good to see you. See, I had been going really hard for you. Found me on STS. Well, you know what? I love STS. I really do. Joel and the family are really, really good people. Lady Tina Marie looking fabulous in green. And I mean that. And I mean that. So I went through a period of time where I was able to maintain my drug habit because I got out of skiing. You know, when you get too old to ski, you stop doing that. I found out really quickly that I could sell anything. I didn't have a problem jumping up on stage. I didn't have a problem making speeches. I didn't have a problem doing anything. I could sell. That was something that I was fairly comfortable with. And for a long time, working as a public speaker, I made enough money where I could keep the family going, pay for my drug habit, and still managed to keep all those plates spinning until I couldn't. And then my first wife and I got divorced. That's when Spanky was taken from me, and my daughter was taken from me as well. My daughter was born that year. And from that moment on, it was like it literally had to look, if you were looking from the outside, like I was trying to get arrested at that point. Like I had decided that, you know what, I'm just going to go really, really hard to the paint. But that means that I was a bank robber, right? Means that I broke any law I could if it meant getting more dope. That usually took the form of me stealing. That really was my get down, and I stole money every way you could, and I mean that literally. Oh wow, what a beautiful thing to say! My life is completely worthwhile since I found you. Wow, that is such a kind thing to say. I mean that. I'm back. Hey everyone, Tommy, nice shirt. Why, thank you. You like that? So I got busted for bank robbery, and I had been to prison once before, and it was a short little sentence for robbing a bunch of Home Depots. I mean, a bunch of them. I was hitting Home Depots every single day for probably a couple of years. Got really out of control, but that's how I was supporting my drug habit with my best friend Jack. And once I went to state prison on that. And when I got out of state prison, I started right back up. I started doing the same stuff. Only I got really sick and tired of having to deal with stealing something and then having to sell it before I could go buy my drugs. So I just decided I would cut out the middleman and steal money. So I started going to banks, and I got poked in the banks. Never got caught in the process of robbing a bank. In fact, I hadn't robbed a bank in about 18 or 19 months when they arrested me. And the bank that I was convicted of is not a bank I robbed. Kind of a funny story, but it doesn't much matter. They didn't get me for that one, they were going to get me for a bunch of others. So I cut a deal. In the process of that, I married my defense attorney, who was a lovely girl. She really was. She was a lovely person until she wasn't. And that going from when she was a lovely person to going off the rails and being kind of a thief and not a great person, I really had a hand in that. I preach accountability, and I talk a lot about owning it, right? So hopefully my ex is owning this on her end, but I will own the fact that had I been a solid cat and a decent husband, I don't think it would have ended up the way that it did. Feel me? Okay. But so there have been times in my life where, because of my proximity to drugs, I also found myself very often in close proximity to prostitutes. Now, I've said many times on this channel and on others, I've never met a happy prostitute. I'm not saying they don't exist. but all I can tell you is my point of reference. And I've never met a happy prostitute. I don't support prostitution. I don't. What I think I said on this subject matter is this: if by some chance, right? If by some chance the they're not going to do something about prostitution, then the only way to protect people is to make it legal, right? For real. I don't suggest they do. Hello. Hey, what's happening? I don't know, but you know what's even funnier is I'm live on YouTube right now. So let me call you the second the show's over. All right, love you, brother. That's actually that was actually my running partner. Um, Never met a happy stripper either. Well, you know what? That you'd have to go back for me. I skipped over that. That was when I said I got injured and I moved to Texas. That's when I went and did stripping. I did anything I could do to get money easier, but I never met anybody that. And when I say the sex trade, I'm talking about all that. I'm talking about strippers. I'm talking about people who are doing sex cams, video stuff. I don't know any of those people, right? But all of that to me kind of falls under that sex worker umbrella. I, I defer to, I don't want to victimize or shame anybody that is doing that, right? So for that reason, I think I probably tread really lightly on this subject. I don't come barreling down on the prostitutes because, in my experience, and I know that what Quibbs is talking about is a very unique situation, and I don't know those women. I don't know if those stories check out. Right? These could all be a script. Who knows? Right? We don't know where they're living. We don't know any of those things. But I've never met the ones that are doing this so that they can drive Ferraris, right, and jet set around the world. I mean, I'm sure it happens. I never met them. The ones that I met were doing it because they needed to feed their arm, right, or their lungs. Yeah, the prostitute. Yeah, what they want is your wallet, to be sure, and it's a very dangerous occupation. If you know anything about serial killers, you know anything about true crime in any way, this is considered, especially by killers, to be a disposable part of our society. Right. This is where people go to pick and choose and go shopping for people that they're going to do terrible things to. That's where I have my problem with this. So if we can't find a solution, I just want to take it out of the back alley where the guy can slap the crap out of a girl or do anything else he wants to her because the girl can't say, I'm going to call the cops on you. I don't think prostitution's a good thing. I promise you I don't. I really don't. But Jack, but I would like to at least figure out a way to try to protect the women involved. I mean, that's where I come down on this. And I'm certainly not trying to judge anybody because I just don't judge people. And the number of people I know who turn tricks to keep their drug habits going. Jack probably is thinking of one right now. We used to go over to a girl's house every single morning. If you're new to the lifeboat, Jack is back right here. This was my ace deuce. This is the guy that I spent my time with on the street. You know, and you'll hear me very often say, only one of my friends is still alive. Everybody else is dead. This is the one that's still alive. No joke. I mean, that's it. And I wish I was being funny, but every single other person we know, I think there might be one guy who is incarcerated. One of the people that we used to hang out with, I think, is in prison. I was going to try to give you a hint on who that is, but I was going to say I got in a fight with him, and then I thought it's not going to narrow it down. Yeah. He had a brother, a very heavy set brother. He thought he was kind of a pretty boy. I think he's incarcerated, but everybody else is gone, including his brother. It's a dangerous time right now to be probably be a different story. Thank God for Suboxone, people. Honest to God, thank God for Suboxone. But no, I really want to come down on this because I don't want people to think I'm out here advocating for it. I don't think prostitution is in its current form, it victimizes women in a very big way. And that's my opinion. And I lived in a part of the world where this was legal. And, you know, at one time I used to go and drop off dope Like I could use a euphemism or whatever. I made deliveries. No, I was dropping dope off to one of the houses. I won't say which one, but because the girls in there like to get high. And I don't mean they were abusively doing it or anything else, because the people that ran those houses were pretty serious about trying to keep those women as safe as humanly possible, and that means mentally, in terms of investing their cash. They really kind of went above and beyond what you would normally see, and I still can't wrap my head around it. And maybe it's because to me, it's a pretty intimate thing, and it didn't used to be. I was an epic man whore for a long time. I really was. I was a terrible human being for a long time, but I wasn't doing it because I was trying to chalk up numbers or anything like that. And you journal for 10 years before you realize why you do things, right? I had to go back and start peeling the onion to find out why I did half of the stupid shit I did, like the robberies and the people. We broke the law. Jack's going to come on this week. I've been speaking with Jack. I talked about him on a show the other day. Jack has ended up without a house, and we're going to have him on this week to talk about his situation, because I know it's not just his situation; it's a lot of other people's situations. And we'll probably tell a couple of horror stories, because to be really honest with you people, when I say that I got to a point where it was like, it was almost like I was trying to get arrested. The more I journal about it, the more I think maybe that was the case. Maybe I really was like screaming for help, and that was the only way that I knew I could do it, was to get myself locked up. But some of the outrageously stupid things that he and I did every single day, like did on the regular, it was horrific. Lucinda, I know Lucinda saw that show, because Lucinda gave me a super chat that I passed on to Jack, actually. And Jack is back, and you know what? I'm glad he is. Yeah. I talked about, I think I've told that story too, people. Remember when I talked about when the bank robbery came, the day that I got busted for the bank robbery, I was with Jack. And we were in a truck going this way, and there was a cop driving the opposite, there's a median, and this is like a little neighborhood. There's 2 lanes on either side of the street. And this cop goes by us, right? And pulls the e-brake like he's TJ Hooker, right? And lights up the tires. He's driving down the wrong way. And Jack goes, "Boy, they're after somebody." I said, "I have a feeling that they may be after us." And every single agency in that part of the world was there for that. It was awful. I'd like to share Tommy and other programs too. Say not to get in a serious relationship for a year or so when you're in recovery. I found out this is correct. You know what? And everybody has to find out for themselves. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I don't tell people how long. I just say that when you are coming off of the drugs or alcohol or whatever you were on, even if it's a habit, if it's something that you've been doing for a long period of time as a coping mechanism, when you come off of that, then your emotions are going to be every feeling you got is going to be hyper, super sensitive and exaggerated. And sometimes you feel like you're a little bit more in love than you are. People talk about rebound stuff, right? Well, rebounding off of drugs is even, really, really awful. Noah's Ark of cops pulled us over. It's the truth. You've never seen more police officers in one place ever. And they had bullhorns to yell at me and say nasty stuff. I've told the story on here many times, but that was is this about that community service I blew off in sparks? But, that really solid homeboy. I am not a criminal anymore, right? I have a show called Cults and Crims, and obviously we play that up. But I'm not a criminal anymore. I don't break the law in anything. Everything I do these days is on the up and up. But there was a time, right, where I did it every single day. Looking back on it, Jack is the only dude of everybody that knew me that did not roll on me as soon as the FBI started to interrogate him. He was the only dude that did not cut a deal, testify against me, whatever. And they had him for days. I'm not exaggerating in any way. They interrogated him for days. It means a lot. Even if that part of my life is over and I'm not a criminal anymore. That means a lot to me, and it always will. That was so that day when the Noah's Ark of cops came. Jack said, "I'm going to prison. There's so much dirt in this truck." He started listing all the stuff that he had in there. I said, "No. I'll cut a deal." I got out because they're arresting me for a bunch of banks. Okay, I'm going away. I'm not coming back out. So I said, "I'll talk to you." Put him in the truck, let him drive home. When he calls my cell phone and says he's home and it's all good, I'll talk to you. Do you know something? Here's the sad thing. I had it. Hey, you could actually, I'll give you the number of the person you can call to get that. And you should be able to still get it. I don't think she's going to want to talk to me on the phone. It's the old ex. the ex had it. I actually sat and watched. It really is a beautiful thing because when you get the discovery, you get all of it. Hey, Jeremy Fowler, good to see you. Lady Tina Marie says, I was even dumber and let him move in. Now this is turning into a nightmare trying to get him to leave. I am a complete moron. That's not going to help. So let's not do that. Right? Let's not do that. This is probably a good life lesson to anybody here that's going through anything. And if I sound like I'm lecturing, the hell else am I going to do? Right? This is kind of what I do here. I'm sorry, but I love you. We can't have you doing this, right? The words mean things. If you've never seen the shows that I do called Words Mean Things, I've done a stink load of them. I'll bet you there's 10, 12 of them. When we say things like this, right? We talk about ants, automatic negative thoughts crawl all over your brain and say, we're not good enough. We're not smart enough. My, mom loved my brother more, or mom loved my sister more, or any of that stuff, right? Those are automatic negative thoughts. Well, where do they come from? Sadly, they come from people like me saying, F my life. How can I be this stupid? How can I be that? And repeating this over and over and over again. The phrase F my life, I'll bet you I said that 20 times a day for a decade. If you don't think that's having an effect on you. So that was my brief 45-second lecture. Now, there is the most important thing here, Lady Tina Marie, is that you have to be safe, right? The most important thing in the entire world. So we need to make sure that is a reality. And if you're not, then we need to, do something to make sure that you are, because that is frightening. Are you? Do you have family? Do you have anybody anywhere that you can, that you can go and stay with? And can you bring in the men in blue? How's that? See, I'm not a crim. Call the police. If this person doesn't want to leave your domicile, I think you should call the police and say, I would like this man out. But maybe it's more complicated than that. I don't know. There is something to the relationship thing. Less than a year after leaving a crazy situation, I got married. It's complicated things, as my long-suffering spouse can attest to. Yeah. Well, at least you're a communicator, Kristen Melinda. I got high hopes for you. Anybody that's a communicator, I have high hopes for the relationship, because I do believe that if people can talk, then good things will begin to happen. Tampa B, I love you. I'm glad you're here. Erin Z, hello. Good to see you. Sorry. You know what? I kept thinking to myself, when I get back to Tucson, I won't be all stuffed up, right? I don't know where the hell I came up with that. But I think I'm less stuffed up here than I was in Bug Tussle. But nevertheless, I am still absolutely still stuffed up. You hit send a little too quickly? You mean there was more to your comment than just Tommy? Where is Squirrel? Squirrel will be here any second. She usually shows up about the last 15 minutes of the show. Hello, Violet. Yeah, I promise Sarah Bowman. Squirrel will show up with about or I could call her, but then she's going to come in here and do the diva routine. So I'm usually better if I do that in the last, hello, Kristen Kruger. If I do that in the last 5 or 10 minutes, it's a little easier. Yes, lost mittens. It is. Let me, you know what? Did I miss something? I probably did miss something. No, we're good. Yeah, I just it's a very when in the middle of a shitstorm, right? Anything that you can do to stay focused, right? Do a triage type of a number. Figure out what you can do immediately to improve your situation, right? In any situation, first and foremost, are you safe? If you're not, right, let's try to come up with a way to make you safe. That, and then start going through a game plan. Bribe for the limes? No, but seriously, no need for the shout out. When Jack gets to abundance, please just bless someone else in need. I love that, Lucinda. I really do. I love that. I love Lucinda. The biggest thing I attribute to my wife and I having been together 24 years is communication. Jason P, no doubt, right? No doubt. Charlie, I'm going to have to check out the picture you sent me on Messenger. I don't think that I have. Oh, maybe I have. I'll tell you what, I'm scared of Messenger. I hardly ever go over there anymore. I'm a pro. I'm a pro. Hold on. Oh, you low life. Yeah, there's a push. There's a lot of people that really want to see me eat some Vegemite, and I will eat Vegemite when we get that silver play button. Tommy Bird says cops, they like to beat me up after they handcuff me. You know what? The most rugged thing that ever happened to me, physically to be sure, the most rugged thing that ever happened to me. And if you've been on the boat for any length of time, you've probably heard it. But I hit a cop in prison, which is a really stupid idea. I live in Kentucky. My brother and I are roommates. The police said we have to go to the courthouse and do an eviction notice. We live in an apartment and he's not on the lease. Okay. Well, if that is the case and everything you know, what you just said, you know to be true, then we need to get on. We need to get on and figure out exactly what we can do tomorrow to bring us closer to that resolution, right? What can you do to get down to that courthouse and get that ball rolling? I got to pay attention to hellacious Bay Area traffic. Love you, bro. Hope everyone has a great evening. Call me later. I will. I promise you. Thanks, Jack. That is a really, really good man. He really is. The only burglars around here are the bears, says Piano Mom. Yeah, we were seeing a lot of bears in Bug Tussle. Lady Marie, I think everybody here would like to keep you in our thoughts and prayers. It's and I'm going to throw a few extra out. There's a lot of people that are needing it today. It's a rugged world, people. It really is. It's a pretty ugly world. Tommy Stiggs, good to see you, my brother. How are you? How are you? It's an honor to have you here, my friend. You know what? My partner is I think still live. I spaced it out about 2 hours. I hate going live at the same time as Quibs. Makes me feel like an idiot, but I thought 2 hours and 5 minutes might be safe. But if they get on one, I should have known. But there's some other things that I wanted to get done later on this evening, which is the reason that we started it early. But so I wanted to go over some of those things because I'm starting to get a reputation of a guy that wants to legalize dope and prostitution, and I'm not that cat at all. That's not the stance I take. What I said is. The only way that we're going to win the war on drugs is on the demand side. And that is going to take 5, 6, maybe 7 generations because it's education. It's education and it's education. And you don't see the fruits of that. I mean, you'll notice it. The numbers will start to drop immediately, but you're really not going to see the fruits of that until those first 2 generations are starting to have kids, right? Then we're really starting to to see the ability to cut down on this war on drugs. The other option, and it's being done in a lot of places right now, is legalization. You know, legalization or decriminalization or whatever the case may be. I am not against that. I really am not, because I don't see another option at this point. But it is such a difficult thing, right? Aaron Z, the cartels do not care about education, I promise you. You would think we needed to, yeah? But we're not teaching kids anything about that. No, I didn't take that in a sassy way, Aaron. Didn't take that in a sassy way at all. Unfortunately, when we started this war on drugs thing, we have spent more money on this than on anything else other than military. And every penny since we became a country, we have pissed away more money on the war on drugs than on everything else except military. That's sad as hell, because we don't have a whole lot to show for it. We really don't. We got rid of the Quaalude, and sadly, that was a hell of a lot of fun, right? But the really dangerous stuff and the stuff that's really killing people, it doesn't seem like we're doing a whole lot of anything to make a dent. Lost Mitten says, I really got to give you some ones for always being there to support Quibs, even when it's hard to hear about Jeff. You two are so strong. Well, thank you, Lost Mittens. That's a very kind thing to say. She has anyone who comes out of anything that is traumatic is going to have a period of time that it's gonna be difficult. They're gonna have to work through that. And I'm no stranger to this concept. That's probably a good thing, right? With the lifeboat stuff, I've been working on this for an awful long time with a lot of people. So she was just coming out of Scientology, which is a life. She was in it her entire life, right? 36 years or something like that. So she is really just coming out of Scientology, finding herself in yet another control group, and a dead husband and a cheating husband who divorces you. That's a pretty rugged decade, right? It's a pretty tough decade. And I think it's actually closer to about 7.5 years. Yeah. But yeah, I'm game to stick around and do as much as I can to help. It's and everybody wants to help. And I love that. I've never seen a group of people anywhere on planet Earth that want so much for one person to succeed, the way that people rally around Quibs. It's actually it borders on the bizarre. It's beautiful. Make no mistake, it's beautiful. Aaron Z says, July 24th is my 6th year of recovery from anorexia. I subscribed to the Lifeboat when Aaron had you on his channel. Never watched any until recently because I thought it was only for drugs, etc. Well, I am so glad that you are here. No, the reason we call this thing the Lifeboat is because we're all in the same boat. It really doesn't matter. You know, you had a way to try to feel comfortable in your own skin. I had a way to feel comfortable in my own skin. Jill Judd had a way to feel comfortable in her own skin. Same with Kathy Ann. Question, totally off topic. When I see a video listed that's anti-Tommy or anti-Aaron, I've been clicking the don't recommend option. Is that the way to handle it? You know what? I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I would say. Just, if you watch it, you voted for it. If you understand how you help a content creator, a thumbs up is a huge thing. A thumbs down is a huge thing because both of those show interaction between the audience and the creator. What we would like is zero interaction to anybody who is, look, and I don't care if they want to take shots at me and it's a legit point. Like you want to argue the tenets of how I do what I do. If you want to come on and say, you know what, Tommy's kind of an asshat because of, his theories on recovery. Great. Pull up a chair. We can have a debate. But if it's just personal attacks and things like that, try not to vote for him. And clicking on him absolutely does that. But and that's a great question, actually. I appreciate you asking. And if you're new to the boat, I always tell people, I don't need you to screenshot it or tell me where it is. I don't look at them. There was a time where I looked at every one of them. Believe it or not, people, I used to save them. I had like a file, and then when it got to a bunch, one December the 4th, I said I'm never going to look at anything negative that somebody makes about me again. It's just not good for your soul. For my soul, maybe it's great for yours. Not so good for mine. Congratulations, Aaron. I'm so proud of you. I'm a recovered food addiction, and it's been almost 21 years for me in recovery. You know what? Maggie May, how exciting is that? And Aaron, how cool. Between the two of you, that is so exciting. And yeah, it does highlight the fact that no, this doesn't have to be about drugs. This doesn't have to be about alcohol. This has to be about living your best life. And the more I play this game, the more I realize that somebody putting a needle in their arm, or somebody trying to make a needle float, right, holding on to cans, or somebody that starves themselves, or somebody that gorges, right, and can't stop eating. It's all our attempt to make sense of a universe and a planet that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And we kind of feel like everybody else got some kind of an instruction manual when they were born, but they didn't give one to us. Does that sound somewhat familiar? Right? And then one day we find out that smoking a little grass makes you feel normal, makes you feel comfortable in your own skin. So you smoke the hell out of it. And I did that until that kind of stopped working. And then I tried other stuff, and I was a dump truck. I would take anything I could get. Oh, it's a drug, give it to me. It's a pill. You don't know what it does? I'll tell you in 20 minutes. Give me 3 of them. Like, I just didn't care. I was that guy, right? Give it to me. I was literally just a dump truck for drugs, because I was just so uncomfortable in my own skin. But then I found heroin, and that was a wrap. I remember thinking to myself, this is how I want to feel for the rest of my life. No question. This is how I want to feel for the rest of my life. It wasn't open to debate or anything else. 1 second. If you could have heard that, it really is kind of it's kind of a loud, well, it's a large proboscis. So it's probably going to make a pretty good sound. It's so embarrassing. Hey, Cag, what's happening? Lady Tina Marie, was this individual contributing financially to the apartment? Was there any type of agreement, even if verbal, about him living there as a roommate? A guest doesn't have to be evicted. Very interesting, Cag. I like a good Aerosmith reference, Tommy Bird. Sorry. Do. My other's keeper. Good to see you. Yes, that is a very important, albeit terrifying moment when we find our drug of choice. It absolutely is. It's a terrifying moment. That moment where you go, oh, this is what I have been looking for. This is it. And for me, it was so obvious because it gave me it took away pain, which is what I wanted it to do. And it gave me confidence that I lacked. I was a guy that didn't have, that didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel confident. And boy, tar fixed that like throwing a light switch. And it didn't just make you feel comfortable. It makes you feel bulletproof. Yeah, Charlie Mullins is literally like stocking up on all things Vegemite. Get me to 100,000 there, people, and you might actually see me eat that Vegemite. Actually, I have a silver play button right over there on the wall. Unfortunately, it's not mine. Sorry. Lucinda, my psychiatrist told me I have an eating disorder just last month. She said it stems from never having food security as a child. Checks out. Or a young adult. Completely resulted in feeling like I had to work for food. I'm so glad that you said that out loud, because I promise you, over the course of the time that people are going to be watching this video, someone is going to hear that, Lucinda, and they haven't had the benefit of sitting down with a psychiatrist, or they haven't had the benefit of working with a therapist and journaling and doing the heavy lifting, right? That you're doing to figure out exactly what's going on. But it's people putting up comments like this that cause those epiphany moments in others. And I really appreciate anytime somebody takes the time to open up like that, because it really does. It benefits a lot of people. It really ends up in it. The proof is in the pudding. I get people every day saying to me, I read a comment so-and-so put up. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. My addiction is to lack of connection. Super scary. Since I've been here, I have metamorphosed into a beautiful, chatty butterfly. You know what? There's a lot of truth to that. There really is, because I have watched it happen. And that is a very, very cool thing. Lady Tina Marie says, no, he never paid any income. My brother and I let him move in under the condition that he get a job and pay for his own stuff and pay a bill. He didn't do any of it. Thank you for asking. You know what? If he didn't do any of it, yeah, he's not a tenant, right? He's a guest. There shouldn't be any reason to have to evict a guest. You should be able to just say, you know what? Leave. What protects somebody from not being able to evict them is usually the fact that they are a tenant in that, right? There's some kind of contractual deal between the person living there and the person, or the owner and the person staying there, or subletting if you're renting, and that kind of an arrangement. But I feel like that's very logical. You should be able to just say, hey, I think I want you to leave, and maybe call the cops if he doesn't want to. Guests, I mean, yeah. Charlie says, in case people are wondering about the championship belt hanging behind Tommy, it's from eating the most systroming. Oh, Lord. Do you know that I'm not even joking? Every time I read the name systroming, all I got to do is read it, and I can taste this instantly in my nose. I'm not even kidding. I just get this. That stuff literally scars your soul. It's such a terrible taste. That's UFC 1 is what that is. But that's pretty funny, Charlie. I'm so stressed in life. With lack of support of family, I almost quit my job and gave up. I get paid well. I'm that depressed. I need to focus on music. Well, focusing on music is not a bad idea. Reggae Bubbles. It isn't. It's not a bad idea. This is a good start, right? You have to let it out. Now, I always say that the two ways that I can let things out, I can let it out through my mouth, or I can journal it. I can talk about it, or I can journal it. If I don't do one or the other, it's going to tear a hole in me, and it'll get out without my assistance. And when that happens, I usually end up incarcerated, or I end up nowhere good, right? Hospitals, that kind of crap. So if there's a lack of support from family, then you need to get a new family, right? You need to assemble a recovery family. And it's something that we do every single day here, right? We always say 5 is a great number. It's nice to have 5 people you can reach out to if you feel like you're about to use, or if you just want to talk, or if you just want to say, you know what? I got $25 in my pocket. I've had it in my pocket for 3 days, and I don't know how to do that. It feels so friggin' weird, like it's burning a hole in my pants. Like I got to go spend this on dope. Sounds insane. So many people know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So many people know exactly what I'm talking about. And I have a friend on the boat who reached out to me. And this person has an eating disorder as well, and has had it stabilized for a really, really long time, but reached out to me, and it was no different at all than if one of my 5 whose drug of choice happens to be a narcotic. It's the exact same thing. The conversation was the same. I just relapsed. This is what I did. And I said, well, let's back up and find out what happened right before, what made you do this? Because you've been under control for a really long time. What happened that caused you to move outside of that control that you've been in? But it's a really beautiful thing. If you can't choose your family, yes, you can. Here you can choose your family. You go over and you start joining the Facebook group page. It's not a push, right? Or a plug. It's free, but you go over there and you look at what people post. There's nothing political. We don't do any of that garbage, but you read what people post, and you get a good idea of people's sense of humor or of their heart, their kindness. There's Squirrel Nut Zipper. I told you, she's a consummate professional. 15 minutes before it's time to go, and she will show up. It's how she rolls. But then you can private message those people. Then you can go into Messenger and you can start having conversations so that you can build that support group, so that if you feel like you're getting ready to lose it, right? Or you're getting ready to do something like quit a really good job, you got a group of people that you can reach out to and bounce some ideas off of. Hey, what do you say there, Squirrel Nut Zipper? I'm so glad you're here. Everybody has been asking about you. There she is in the basket. What a pro. I'm telling you, the cat is a pro. Tampa B-Man says, Reggae Bubbles, been there. You're not alone. Promise. I love that. I love that. I get what y'all are saying, but he won't leave. We've tried. My brother works at a hospital and talked to the sheriff and non-emergency police. They told us we have to do an eviction. Okay, I got you. I wish we lived in the same town. That kind of thing just blows my mind. I'll go in there and get him out. Just, Joe Pesci style. Just go in there and start smacking him in the head a couple. I'm not advocating for any of that, people. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But do start that eviction process. Let's get that ball rolling, because somebody that is a really antisocial behavior. If you say to somebody, hey, I want you to leave, and they go, no, I'm staying here, that's bizarre. It's creepy, and it scares me. It really does. It scares me. And it sounds to me like you're the local sheriff department, a bunch of shitballs. God forbid something ever happens. Won't they feel like a pack of heroes? How do you say, no, you got to go deal with an eviction? Yeah, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. And I'm sure you're, all of the advice. It sounds so easy and you're living it. I apologize. Reggae Bubble says, thanks for listening. I definitely need that. Haven't seen my mom in 20 years, and all she does is trash my dad, who has schizophrenia. My sister won't help with him. Boy, that sounds tough. That really does sound tough. You will find, just starting the process of talking about things, there's only two options. One is that we talk about the things that are upsetting us. What's the other option? We suffer in silence. That's it. There's no third option. Those are the only two. You're either suffering in silence, right? So we encourage people not to suffer in silence. It doesn't help. All behaviors are needs driven. Addictions let us know there is traumatic information that a survivor is trying to manage. Addictions are not a weakness. They're an adaptation from trauma. Yeah, I agree. They are. This is it's a disease, and the symptom of this disease is a lot different than the symptoms of others. And sometimes our symptoms make people lose their patience with us. But it's there's absolutely nothing to do with willpower. It has absolutely nothing to do with strength. Do you know how many incredibly strong people I know who lost the battle? J&C, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you caught us live. Gag, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. But what do I know? I'm the local crim. Tommy Bird says, I look to food for comfort after coming off drugs, and it led me to becoming diabetic. So everyone be careful with that. You know what, Tommy Bird? When I got sentenced, I thought I was getting 24 months. I paid a fortune. My ex-wife paid a fortune to the attorney that took my case, and he was BSing me up until the day of sentencing. Yeah, you're looking at 24 to 36 months. I'm thinking, 2 to 3 years. I hate to sound like the movies and stuff, but man, I can do 3 years like that. I know I can do 3 years. I've already done those kind of sentences. So I was like, okay, I can do this. When they came back with 96, right? It was like the wind out of my sails. You know what I mean? And I was going to be in this county jail for probably a month to 2 months before they were going to ship me off to the feds because I was in there right at the holidays. And that's what I was doing. I was eating like a Viking because there weren't any drugs. The only thing I could do to make me feel even remotely better in my own skin was just packing and packing and packing in food. It was it just makes sense, right? It makes sense. I can't cope. We've already established this. Or at the time, I had no coping mechanisms whatsoever. Sadly, I never developed them. I never worked on them. I didn't even realize that you're supposed to. I just started doing drugs. At the first sign that anything was uncomfortable, I just drugged it. And I did that for such a long period of time that when you pop up for oxygen at 46, it's a bit of a reality roundup. But thank God I had somebody there who was ready to hold my hand through the entire process and say, well, let's design a new you, right? Because damn, the last one, you didn't exactly hit it out of the park, Rock. It's I kind of wore that name out. If you want to keep it real, right? I think I pretty much wore that name out, people. And so, sorry, the schizophrenia is making my dad so lazy that he can't even hardly walk. And there's no reason for it. You know what? Thoughts and prayers for your family, Reggae Bubbles. It sounds hard. It really does. It sounds hard. My favorite new saying is a disco ball is 100 pieces of broken glass. Put them all together and you got a magical ball of light. You aren't broken, you're a disco ball. Proud disco ball. Well done, Mary. I like what you've done here. I dig it. 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 I like it when she talks to you. Oh, I think you're referring to my furry girl. She talks to me all day long, unless she's in the basket. Then she's usually pretty quiet. Cat in a basket. I know my cat. 15 minutes before the end of the show, she knows because she's going to get a you know what after the show. So she wants to go out and do her thing and do whatever she wants, and then sneak back here for the popped up in here. I put in the minimal amount of work. She's a diva. She shows up, wants her picture taken. Right, I'm ready for my close up, and then toss me 6 or 7 of those things. Oh, and a greenie for my breath. How do you bring back your sense of humor? Since my husband passed, I have lost my amusing side. How do I get it back? That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. Now, this for me was somewhat early. In my town, if they have so much as a toothbrush in your house, you have to file an eviction. He'll have no fury. Yeah, I know there are some places that are really, really bizarre. So, how do I bring back the sense of humor? For me, this was kind of easy, and I'll tell you why. You've probably heard me and Reese Quibell over on the shows that we do together. We reference movie lines all the time, right? Well, I throughout my life, I've had 4 or 5 really close friends that I did this with all the time growing up. It's just one of those things that we always did. Most of them are dead, right? Jack and I can still do it. Johnny Scoville, right? My brother and I do it all the time, but I can do it with quibs. The reason I mention this is those things were embedded in my head, right? So the first movie that I put back on in hopes of trying to get back my sense of humor was The Blues Brothers. It was a movie I knew every word to. And by the time that movie was over, I was laughing, belly laughing. And I was coming off the heels of believing I was never going to laugh again. I've told the story on here, I don't know how many times, but you see those cuffs on the wall, those handcuffs? All right. I had a corrections officer They have these little cages that they put you in while you're waiting to see a doctor, or you're waiting to see the warden, or you're having a episode on drugs and they want to keep you away from everybody else. It's the size of a phone booth, and it's just got bars, right? But they lock you in it. And very often there'll be 5 or 6 of them right next to each other, so they can put the people in while they're waiting to go in and see the warden or whatever. But they had one by the shoe, right? The segregated housing unit, the hole. They dragged me in because I had just punched a cop. They dragged me in there and they put my hands above the bars and threw the handcuff over and cuffed it. Now I could stand. I mean, it wasn't hard to stand there. But after about 4 hours, it got to a point where I couldn't keep standing. And it was just really, really hard. It was really hard on my arms, and keeping your hands above your head like this, all of the blood runs out of it. I mean, when they took the handcuffs off up top, my hands just fell. Like I could do nothing to make them work. It was terrifying. It really was. But I was bitter for about 9 months after that, and not upset, not grieving like you're doing, or anhedonia. The just no emotion. You're not feeling anything. It's like you're not happy. You're not sad. You're just nothing. That wasn't me. I was rip roaring pissed off. But I promise you, I had no sense of humor. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't do anything. And that stretch of time didn't do a whole lot for my marriage either. This was before I started to try to become an evolved person. I'm not an evolved person, people. I'm not a guru. I'm none of those things. I really am not. But I started to try, at least, to be a better person and try to figure out who I was and all of that. Violet, that's beautiful. Violet says, that breaks my heart. My son has schizophrenia and our whole family is on board. We'll pray for you. It's a beautiful thing when the entire family is on board. Oh, Reggae Bubble says, my dad got schizophrenia from Camp Lejeune, and they claim he got it from pot smoking. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. That way they can absolve themselves. You know what? There's not a lot of there's just not a lot of real science on the schizophrenia and weed thing. I mean, are there people for whom that can happen? Yeah, but it's like the people who are going to develop breast tissue. What is that called again? Gynecomastia. Come on, squirrel, knock that off. Gynecomastia or whatever it's called. There's a possibility that can happen, but it's probably like 1 in a gazillion. Yeah, why would the really poisonous water be to blame? Monk, you make this boat better. Monk says, this boat is so full of love sometimes. It really is. I think it is most of the time. I think that some days we're better than others. Some days, to be sure. Mo Peace. Nothing wrong with a little Mo Peace. Miss Sunrise Dawn. It's my girlfriend's fault that you're late. Well, I'll have to take that up with her then. No, you know what it is? I should have realized that that 2 hours and 5 minutes was probably not enough time. Quibs can talk. She can, and she would prefer to. Honestly, if she had her way, most of her shows would go 2 or 3 hours. It gives her enough time to really explore the subject. She's articulated to me many times in the past that she prefers the longer show. Probably should have given a little bit more than 2 hours and 5 minutes. Shannon Smith says, I bet that hurt to get that sentence, Tommy. Yeah, it really did. And what was terrible is right before me, a guy went in for the exact same crime. He was fell into possession of a firearm. However, this was his second time being caught with guns. I was in there for my first time. So I thought he just got, I don't remember whether it was 28 months or 32 months. He had medical extenuating circumstances. So did I. Mine was a traumatic brain injury. His was a blood disorder. They liked that blood disorder. They were not very fond of my traumatic brain injury. And he got 26 or 28 months, and I got 96. I take that back. I got 96 plus my violation. How do you do? that doesn't cover my probation violation. That was an additional 3 years, 36 months on top of that. Jim Dandy. Yeah, that was hellaciously depressing too. And he could have, the judge said, I'm going to run half of it consecutive and half of it concurrent because I want to give you a little light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, good looking out, Your Honor. Hockey Town John says, Tommy, I feel like I've been giving Reese all the love lately. So here's a contribution to the Get Tommy Back to Quibsville fund. Love you, man. Thank you, Hockey Town John. I appreciate you. I really do. That's not such a bad fund. That's not such a bad fund. I will be definitely heading back that way, people. Some of you have panicked. I assure you, I have no intention of not going back. I really, first of all, I have I feel like it's home there. There's something very very comforting with how slow the environment is. I dig it. I really do. I dig it. And for the last, yes, I do. Jeremy Shelton, hit me up after this. You can, write me out a check. I'll take that. It's too funny. Really is too funny. Yeah, I am much happier when I'm near Quibs. The last 10 days that I was down there bordered on bliss. Really did. I was about as content as I can remember being in my life. Now, granted, my memory is not what it used to be, and it's failing pretty quick. But I honestly don't remember ever being more content. Well, Sarah, she is a very big family. I know that that Huxley is fond of me, and I'm very fond of Huxley. He's a really good kid. About your 5, is it better to have people you're connected to on a day-to-day basis or not so involved with, a mix of both, or does it matter? Great freaking question. This is a great question. And here's where I come down on this. You could go either way. What I would not do is don't make your 5 full of people whose life experiences aren't going to benefit you. So when you say, if it's people I talk to every day, are these people that are in recovery? Because ideally, you want to be able to call people who understand what you're going through. The reason a 5 is so important, right? The reason that 5 is having a 5 is such an important thing. If I call a relative who has never been involved in recovery in any way, they don't know what it is to be addicted or anything like that. I got to try to explain to them the unexplainable. Tommy, you got out of prison, right? You're living the dream. Everything is good. And you go back and relapse. Why in the name of God would you do that, right? You would spend the entire time on the phone trying to make them understand why something like that is even possible. Whereas if you call someone who has been addicted to drugs and you go, hey man, I blew it. I relapsed. Oh yeah. There's not going to be that shock. They're going to go into a far more productive conversation. Like, hey man, when did this relapse start? I don't mean when did you use? I mean, how far back, how many days back did you start romanticizing the drug? Did you start thinking about the good old days when you used to go out and do X, Y, and Z or whatever? For real, that stuff's that's real. So if everybody you're talking about are all in recovery, then yeah, I think a little spattering of both. It's not bad to have somebody right next to you that you can say, hey, you know what? I'm hurting. I could use some help. It's not a bad thing at all. It's a beautiful thing. But it's also nice to have somebody that you can grab this thing and hit a button anytime. It really is kind of important. Wow, it's creepy. Sorry. You're always on my mind. So is everyone in the chat. Love you all, Tampa B. You are so kind. I really do appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you again shortly. Green Acres is the place to be. I ended up in Ruralville by surprise. I feel you. I never relaxed before. How about that? How about that? I really enjoy driving down the street at like 5 o'clock and saying to Quibs when two cars come by in the opposite direction, "Oh boy, we got the bug tussle traffic." 5 o'clock rush hour traffic is getting out of control. I saw a Volkswagen and a Honda, really out of control. No cavities, and no one tried to sell me a root canal, so it was great. Wow, you've done something right. I appreciate a nice mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, especially when the mutton is sliced really thin. Have fun storming the castle. If you have only people you pay to talk to, it doesn't honestly count for me. I have cut ties with all but family and paid professionals. Um, Lonely, but better than getting used. Yeah, I have one person that I pay, and I absolutely need her because she's very good at she can do to my brain what I can do to a watch. Right? She can sort of take it apart, put it back together, and everything just sort of goes well. Um, so I need that, but I have a team in place. I have a team right there that is, think of it like a pit crew for a race car. Right? When things are working right, I can I can chug right along, and life is good. Yeah. Tires are getting rotated, gas is getting in there, life is good. Then sometimes, if I try doing that without the pit crew, I'm going to get in trouble really quickly. I was so sick today, I was in tears, ready to give up. I came here and tried to help someone suffering, and now I'm feeling much better. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute. You know what, CAG? I have said this so many times, and this is not Tommy. I promise you, listen to this because this is a fact. This is science. Nothing gives you a dump. I mean, a dump of cool chemicals in your brain like servitude, like doing something for somebody and expecting nothing in return, like volunteering to go and help people or any of those things. This is a buzz. This will release chemicals in your brain that I promise you are better than any antidepressant, that are better than blow or smack or any of those. This here is my drug of choice, right? For real, it is. Lady Hawk, I got that email. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I am going to, I promise you, attack that in every way. There is nothing that I will not try to prolong the amount of time that I'll be able to do this. I promise you. Where did you start at assembling your team? Hill hath no fury. So when I first started the lifeboat, we had about 14 or 15 people that would be in every single chat. And I picked my 5 out of that 14 people. I'm still super close friends with almost all of those people. Some of them have passed away, sadly, and some have drifted away, and some have cursed at me on the way out. But yeah, I started there. Everybody that I get through here. This is, but my brother is in recovery, so Johnny Scoville is one of my 5. Alan Ballantyne, of course, my friend from Australia, is in my 5. It's super important to me that that the people that I have, I can talk to about anything. Right? I picked people because I had been talking to them about subjects and realized that we didn't have a lot of filters. Right? For me, that was important. It might not be for other people. If you talk to someone and they make you feel good, right? Talking to them is a pleasant experience, then maybe you ask them. Well, I want to be around, Lady Hack, I promise. The vagus nerve is part of the limbic system. I should have remembered that. Sounds like something you should have remembered. You know what, Miss Dragon? I think a lot of us have been through a lot in the last year. I think you've been through more than most, but you've done it with grace and dignity, and kept your sense of humor. And I absolutely love you. Glad that you're my sister. Really am. It's yeah, I really am. Very very similar senses of humor, and we share a lot of the same life experiences. I assembled my team with a crazy pilot, a handsome grifter, and a no-nonsense enforcer with a mohawk who's fond of wearing a lot of gold. As part of my birthday on Saturday was seeing a homeless guy sketching away, but he only one pen, so I brought him. Oh, I love that. I love that. Make the earth a little bit of a better place. I absolutely love that. Especially because that's therapeutic. What he's doing is just like journaling or anything else that is so therapeutic. I can't draw. I have no skill, but I've watched people in prison do it. And 50 days cigarette free. Goodness gracious, Miss Sunrise Dawn. How cool is that? Oh man, I hope you're as proud of yourself as I am of you. For real. Do I need a 5 if I'm not in recovery? Of course. Of course you need a 5 if you're not in recovery. And you are in recovery. Don't confuse the word recovery and the word sobriety, right? You have said here, because I'm not outing you, you've said it here in the comment section that problem was you stopped connecting. Yeah. Okay. Um, it's the same. We're all in the same boat. If you start to do what? Because connection is what's happening now, right? You're coming out of your shell. You're starting to connect. You're becoming a social butterfly, so to speak. If you find yourself starting to withdraw back into the shadows, right, of lurking, well, that's when that 5 comes into play. And if they're tight with you, chances are they know that you're already doing it. Maybe they're reaching out to you. But it's nice when you got 5 people that if they don't hear from you within 2 or 3 days, they're going to be reaching out going, "Hey, what the hell?" Yeah, can't pick your family? Yes, you can. But you're in recovery. You're recovering from living in a life of zero connection. Of course you're recovering from that every single day. Oh, you're in recovery. You're just not recovering from addiction. It's not sobriety, but it is sure as hell is recovery. I promise. You heard that encouraging Jeremy Shelton helps you recovery? I would really like to see Jeremy Shelton in some bell bottoms. I really would. I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm from New York. I had a lot of doubt about you when you came along. I was very concerned for Reese. You have gone above and beyond. You're a great person, Janet. What a kind thing to say. And I can't imagine that was easy to write. Right? It's a hard thing to say. I'm sorry, and it's an even harder thing to say. Maybe I wasn't right. You know. Um, I have a hard time being angry at people who are just trying to protect Reese, right? And I'll be really honest with you. I see stuff on the news and I say, and you see somebody and I go, yeah, man, lock that dude up and throw away the key. It's very easy to forget where I have been and become part of a society that does kind of put people away and forgets about them. But I look at a guy coming straight out of prison, and every time my first thought is that this guy's probably not going to make it. That's awful, right? But that's the statistics. They're not. Don't get me wrong. I jump down into the trenches and work with them. Right? Be stoked to work with them. But statistically speaking, I feel bad for them watching them come out because they're not going to get any help. It's a tough thing. But I've said this before. Second gens, you never see that look of, oh my God, this dude's a convict. He's been in prison for what? Like that look when people find out what you are, or where you've been. There's a button that kind of gets thrown. I've never been pissed at anybody for seeing that look. I probably do it too. To some degree, I probably do it too. We can't help we can't help the programming that's turned us into what we are. If somebody says, there's an escaped convict, right? Or an ex-convict, it just kind of sounds bad. It really does. And I know that. So I'm not mad at you, I promise. And thank you very much for that. That was really a kind thing to write. Tommy, I use a plastic surface, droppable watercolor paper, and water to do art. Art is more than drawing. Absolutely, it is. Art. I mean, art takes a bazillion forms. Um, yeah, I've never been able to express myself through art. It's kind of a bummer. I really wish I could. My brother does. My brother does. My sister does. I don't think that part of my brain developed very well. Um, Sadly, I paint pictures with words, I guess. I have been working hard all day gathering notes, pictures, content, etc. to start my YouTube channel, Tommy. Well, I love that. How cool is that? I hope that yeah, that's exciting. Shoot me an email. Tell me all about the channel and what you're going to be doing. Shoot me an email at tommyscoville@gmail.com. Love to hear about it. Oh, dirty Maggie May, they have taken her away. 2 teaspoons of coconut oil 3 times a day and not stopping. There's a lot of data on this. I am going to roll with that myself. Catalina says, I worry about my first love so much. He's been addicted to meth for over a decade now. Wow. He has done a lot of damage. I don't know if he will ever recover. I pray that he will. You know what, Catalina? He needs to, obviously, it's going to sound so stupid, but the quicker he can get this stopped, he can begin to heal. I've worked with people who had 20 and 25-year habits on speed that have been able to rebuild a pretty happy life. It is absolutely a different life than the one that they would have had if they didn't spend 20 years on meth, because it gets really weird about regulating dopamine and things. That's a drug that really throws off your brain chemicals. Kiwi Nan says, I've been a lurker on the replay crew for so long. I love that I feel comfortable to at least start putting up comments. This crew is the best. Wow, Kiwi Nan, I'm so happy that you feel that way. I really am. We have a lot of people from your part of the world. Coconut oil, eating it, good for brain. Sorry, I'm late. Yes, Lori, I think that you just summed it up, though. You just summed it up, though. Art is mental health for me, says CBC. Not necessarily good, but calms my soul. I make homemade cards, paper art, small pieces. I love that. And you know, the beautiful thing is, who cares if it's good or not? You know what I mean? That if it's giving you that feeling of zen, if it's giving you that feeling of peace and calm, then it's great. It's good art. Great art. Why, thank you all. There are times, honestly, there are times when I feel like I'm really in the zone, and I do feel like it's kind of it does feel like an art form. Not when I'm alone, but if I'm doing this with somebody else, especially like when Quibs and I are on one, because when we're really on one, it almost looks like it's scripted, and we've never even discussed what subject we were going to talk about before we go live. When the two of us are in the zone, it's a pretty wild thing. It really is, and it feels very much like an art when we're clicking. All right, people. That's about an hour and 20 minutes. We have an arts and crafts section on the Discord server. It's crafty. Crew members want to share their work. Thank you, Izzy E. Your comedy is an art. Well, thank you, Lori Adams. I really appreciate that. Shannon Smith, you are too kind. All of you, you really are. It means the world to me. Thank you. Body painting. Yes, definitely let the people introduce themselves first. Good call. Tommy, my cat that's normally a loner that doesn't want to be bothered is now camped out almost on top of my phone staring at you. You should feel special. I do. I do feel special. Anytime a cat gives me any kind of attention, I feel special because they are my favorite things on planet Earth. I love that, Casey. Casey says, my nephew has been in prison, found faith, and turned his life around. Some of the other family members didn't think he could change. He proved them wrong. I love that. I really do. I love that. I got to believe. I got to believe that you're never so far gone that you can't come back. There is absolutely, it is the backbone of my life. If I start to think that people can't be helped, then I need to let somebody else sit in this chair, because it is really an important thing. Maggie May says, I've always wanted to do acting and singing, but I'm actually afraid to start now. How do you deal with the negative self-talk? Well, you know what? Let's break that down, right? Negative self-talk, or as I call them, ants. The acronym stands for automatic negative thoughts, right? Because you don't have to think about them. They just do it. And they crawl all over your brain and they beat the piss out of you. You only have to short circuit those for about 8 minutes, right? We know that. And you can rewire the brain. But if it is an automatic negative thought, then you have to manually input a positive thought. And oh, Tommy, I'm not doing that. You know how stupid I feel sitting in front of a mirror, right? Talking to myself, saying stuff like, you're good enough, you're a winner. Man, I'm not doing that. I feel like that guy from Saturday Night Live. Well, then keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep doing what you're doing and hope for a different result. Every once in a while, that'll happen. Not too freaking often. It never happened for me, by the way. So this last time around, when Q would say stuff like, hey, man, have you ever sat in front of a mirror and talked to yourself before? No. Okay. Well, then maybe you ought to. Okay. I'll do it. I'll do it. And I still bust it out. Not nearly as often as I used to because I don't have to. But if the ants start kicking my butt, it's an automatic negative thought. I'm going to put in a manually inputted positive thought. And I'm going to do it for probably 2 minutes. Just go in and I'll write down 3 or 4 phrases, right? And it really does help. It really does help. I promise you. And you should do it, Maggie. I promise you should. You want to quote? This one will keep you up at night, folks. Of all the words of mice and men, the saddest are what might have been. I've been in close proximity to some people that knew they were dying for a decent amount of time, and I got to speak to these people as they were approaching death, and I did. They didn't have any family. They were trapped inside. There wasn't going to be anybody that would go and talk to these people if a couple of us didn't volunteer to do it. And they had fascinating stories. These guys were gangsters. They had fascinating stories to tell, but I used to go up and talk to these people. And a recurring theme from all of them was this. You know what? I'm getting right near the end here, kid. And I don't regret anything that I did in life, but I can't stop thinking about all of the things that I didn't do. All of the times I could have gone to try something and I said, nah, I'm not going to do that. Or I could have gone to do this new thing and I said, nah, screw it. I don't want to try that. Those are the regrets. So are you getting out? Are you meeting people? Are you being healthy? Are you moving for 30 minutes a day? Huh? Get up and move for 30 minutes a day. Start journaling. Start making your bed. Start doing the silly crap that Tommy Scoville tells you to do on the regular and watch what happens to you. Tommy, when I started journaling again, I'm going to level with you. I thought positive automatic thoughts were either BS or someone else, but me. Happy to be wrong. I started having them recently. Now, positive automatic thoughts happen. I thought they were a myth too. What Izzy is saying is if you journal long enough, one day you'll be sitting there bored. And instead of that voice coming in your head and going, you're a loser, mom never loved you, you're sitting there and a thought comes in and goes, you know what? You're doing a hell of a job on the lifeboat. There's a lot of people on that channel that are really turning their life around. And I'm sitting in the chair going, what the hell was that? Right? Is this what success smells like? Yeah. No, it's real, Izzy. God bless you. I couldn't be happier for you. I really couldn't. That's a real thing. I promise you. It is a great quote. It's a painful quote, but it is a great quote. This is not a dress rehearsal. You are not going to get another shot at this. I promise you. I promise you. So jump in there, give it a shot. 2 feet, right? Uh, Worst thing that can happen is you can fail, right? But I promise you, failure after you give it your best, if you leave it all on the field, you try as hard as you can and you're not successful, I promise you can walk away proud. I promise you can. I've done it a billion times. For real. I was a skier and I was never a skier that won a gold. I was never a skier that stood on a podium. But if I did my best that day, I felt good about it. And when you watch the Olympians, when you watch people out there, you realize how many people are competing so that three can get up on that podium, right? There's hundreds of people up there competing so that three can be on that podium. Are all of everybody but those three losers? Not if they trained hard and they left nothing out there, right? You, I didn't leave a little in the tank. I gave it hell. Acting classes, love it. Love it. Push yourself. Do something, right? And you know what will happen if you take an acting class, by the way? Right? For real. Connection. You're going to meet a whole crap load of people you don't know, and you're going to be put in situations where you have to act. There's going to be laughing and there's going to be bonding. Holy hell. Connection. Stuff will change your life. And it's really great because you don't have to buy it. Once you find out where you can find this stuff, it's really quite simple. The football attitude is clean up. Keep going in Europe. Sorry I'm late. I was cooking dinner. And it's not good to be distracted while using hot oil. And for mess, I'm glad that you weren't listening to me while doing the hot oil thing. Yeah, that's all we need. Oh, God, Danny, that's all we need. All right, people, I'm going to deliver a little cat in a basket. And then I'm going to call this thing a live feed. This beautiful girl, squirrel nut zipper, that's a cat in a basket. On the lifeboat, we will not judge you for the things that you've done in your past, and we will deliver consistently more cat in a basket than any other content creator on YouTube. Prove me wrong. All right, everyone, we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.